The Toyota Yaris Cross is a mix of two things the Japanese manufacturer does well: small hybrid cars and SUVs, so in theory it should be good. At first glance, with its compact size, ability to run solely on electric power at low speeds and optional four-wheel drive, it does indeed look as though it lives up to the authentic urban adventurer tag that Toyota's marketers have attributed to it. It's longer and wider than the standard Toyota Yaris hatchback it's based on. In fact, it's roughly the same size as the rival Nissan Juke and, like that car, offers the sort of raised driving position that's important to many potential SUV buyers. This isn't the first time Toyota has competed in the small SUV category. Early versions of the Toyota RAV4, available in compact, three-door form, and in the early 2010s we were offered the short-lived urban cruiser. There is a lot more competition in the class now, though. In addition to the Juke, rivals include the Ford Puma, Skoda Kamiq and VW T-Roc. So, does the Toyota Yaris Cross have what it takes to stand out among the best small SUVs? The Toyota Yaris Cross is available only as a hybrid with one engine option, a 1.5-litre three-cylinder petrol that works with an electric motor to improve performance and efficiency. It's not the quickest small SUV out there. We achieved a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of 10.0 seconds during our testing, matching the slower, entry-level engines fitted to the Ford Puma and Skoda Kamiq. That means it's still brisker than the equivalent VW T-Roc and VW Tiggo. When you start pressing on, the petrol engine accelerates up to motorway speeds without much bother. The motor gives it plenty of shove off the line, and the Yaris Cross will run solely on electric power around town if you're gentle with the accelerator. That makes it quieter than its petrol-only rivals, and indeed easier on fuel, although we'll talk more about that later. When the petrol engine chimes in, the Yaris Cross gets a lot noisier. That's down to the standard CVT automatic gearbox. It's responsive, but holds the revs near the red line if you're accelerating or climbing a hill. A few engine vibrations reach the cabin, but they're no worse than in rival cars. Things settle down again once you're up to speed. There's a noticeable amount of wind noise on the motorway around the windscreen and door mirrors, and a fair amount of road noise emanating from the tires, but the Yaris Cross is still relatively hushed for a small SUV. If you're a fan of the high driving position you get with large SUVs, then you'll be impressed by the Toyota Yaris Cross's lofty feel. You sit higher up than you do in the Ford Puma and Skoda Kamiq. You won't struggle with forward visibility because that raised seating position is combined with slightly thinner windscreen pillars than its rivals. There's plenty of space in the front of the Toyota Yaris Cross, including sufficient headroom for those over 6 feet tall. Front storage space includes 2 cup holders, a tray in front of the gear selector for your wallet and keys, and another one under the infotainment screen for your phone, although that's shallow enough for your phone to slide out when cornering. The cubbies in each door are quite small, taking a bottle of water and not much else. A couple of 6-footers will fit in the back, with a touch more space than in the Ford Puma. Anyone wanting to stretch out will be much more comfortable in the Skoda Kamiq or VW T-Roc, while the Renault Captur and VW T-Cross can be had with more flexible sliding rear bench. It's also worth noting that the rear door openings are small, which can make it tricky to squeeze in a child seat or for less agile people to climb aboard. Unlike most of its rivals, the Yaris Cross comes with 40/20/40 split folding rear seatbacks in all but entry-level trim. The slightly more expensive Mini Countryman has the same, but the Puma and most other rivals have a less versatile 60/40 split. Boot capacity is pretty good, at 400 liters, matching the Kamiq. In real-world terms, that means it has space for 7 carry-on suitcases. The Puma's boot is even bigger, though. We managed to fit 8 cases under its tonneau cover. To make loading larger items easier, higher spec XL trim comes with a handy 2-piece height adjustable boot floor that reduces the loading lip. In fact, when it's in its highest setting, there's virtually no lip at all. Seeing out of the back is a different story because the rear pillars are quite a bit chunkier than the Kamiq's. Thankfully, every version comes with a rear-view camera, while XL trim adds front and rear parking sensors. Getting comfortable in the Yaris Cross is easy. All versions feature plenty of manual adjustment to the steering wheel and driver's seat. The only demerit is that you don't get adjustable lumbar support unless you go for mid-spec design trim or higher. The cheaper Icon and Design models both come with an 8.0 inches touchscreen infotainment system, while going for Excel and above increases the screen size to 9.0 inches, and adds built-in sat-nav. The smaller screen has a few more physical buttons to make navigating the core menus a little easier, so it's the more user-friendly of the two while you're driving. Whichever infotainment screen you end up with, the Toyota operating system is rather clunky. Fortunately, you can bypass it by mirroring a cut-down version of your smartphone's display onto the touchscreen using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. They're both included as standard. Everything else in the interior is laid out in a sensible way, and you get physical controls for the standard climate control, making it a doddle to operate on the move. Everything feels sturdily screwed together, but the interior lacks the upmarket feel you get in the Nissan Juke, let alone the Mini Countryman. As a cash purchase, the entry-level Toyota Yaris Cross Icon comes in at about the same price as the Ford Puma in entry-level titanium trim. That makes it more expensive than a similarly powerful Skoda Kamiq SE 1.0 TSI 110, but cheaper than the VWT Rocklife. The Yaris Cross promises to be much cheaper to run than those rivals, though, particularly for company car drivers. The hybrid system keeps CO2 emissions as low as 100 grams/km, reducing the benefit-in-kind car tax rate. CO2 emissions rise as you head up the trim levels, but even with four-wheel drive they remain lower than those of the front-wheel drive Puma 1.0 EcoBoost MEF 125. Our true MPG fuel economy tests on the front-wheel drive Yaris Cross led to a real-world average of 60.1 miles per gallon, which makes it one of the most economical cars we've tested. It averaged an incredible 103.3 miles per gallon on our simulated town route, making it a fantastic choice if you live in a city. For reference, you'd be lucky to see much more than 40 miles per gallon from a 1.0-liter Puma, T-Roc or Kamiq. In terms of trims, we go for entry-level Icon because it keeps costs down but still includes plenty of kit. That includes 16 inches alloy wheels, keyless entry and start, a reversing camera, climate control, adaptive cruise control, auto headlights and the 8.0 inches infotainment touchscreen. We wouldn't blame you for spending a little extra for design trim, as that gets you some genuinely useful features such as LED headlights, roof rails and 40/20/40 split rear seatbacks. Mid-level Excel gets heated front seats, a heated steering wheel and dual-zone climate control. GR Sport comes with some sportier exterior styling cues, but it's too expensive to recommend.